Hey, good morning, everybody. Yeah, it is a good morning. Hold on for a second. I had to take something off the mic there. Uh, yeah, I wanted to talk about, well, kind of give my thoughts, a bit of a review on No Way Out and on Monday Night Raw, the post No Way Out edition of Monday Night Raw. And, when I did my predictions and how I would book it kind of deal, and I said that the WWE creative team was kind of up in the air. Well, it seems to me, as we all saw, for any of us that did order the pay-per-view, and some of us that streamed it live and for free, and for some of us that followed on websites like PWTorch.com or RingsideNews.com or wherever, and just looked up the results and kept refreshing the page to see what happened next. And even for some of us that waited even after that to download the pay-per-view via torrents or websites like Hotfile and such, um, like I said on Friday, I think, it really was, at a time the WWE creative team was kind of up in the air. They didn't know what to do. I mean, I'm pretty sure if the suspension of Orton hadn't occurred and the suspension of Jericho and the Del Rio injury temporarily hadn't occurred and some other things, that they probably would have pulled the trigger. They probably would have said, okay, Big Show, you're going to go over and everything. But I think they realized that since they don't have Orton for another month and they don't have Jericho for another week, and they wouldn't have Del Rio until 24 hours later. To me, I think, in all honesty, and I know some people may hate me when I not hate me, but may disagree with what I'm going to say here. But I think creative made the right decision. I mean, as much as you don't like John Cena, right now, making the decision to let him go over on the Big Show was the right decision. And yes, it did involve a lot of other baby faces who got knocked out by the Big Show over the past few weeks, but it kind of told a story. And if you were a true wrestling mark and you followed the business as much as you can as a fan and a mark, you probably pretty much knew in your own mind, even though you would read reports that the creative were kind of up in the air, had the arms up in the air and not sure what they were going to do. You pretty much had an idea that when you saw Alex Riley get knocked out, when you saw Santino get beat up, when you saw Kofi get beat up along with R-Truth, when you saw Brodus Clay get destroyed, and Zack Ryder, you pretty much knew these guys were all going to come out and try to aid John Cena. And that's what happened. You pretty much knew that. Now, whether or not that would have mattered, even if, let's say, creative would have said, okay, Big Show, you're going to go over, who knows? Who knows what would have happened? Who knows if it would have worked or not? Now, excuse me for a second. Now, one of the things that I'm pretty sure one of the things that I'm pretty sure a lot of people want to know is, is where does Big Show go from here? Well, again, creative's kind of up in the air with Big Show. See, they know he's got, I guess you could say, some unfinished business with Brodus, so they want to continue that in some way. But they're kind of up in the air right now. I mean, tentative plans, if you will, have Big Show penciled in for SummerSlam. Excuse me. against CM Punk. Now, you might think, well, why would they want to put him against CM Punk? Well, when you think about it, yes, Big Show has faced Punk before, but that's when Punk was a heel. This is kind of a role reversal, and it would be for the WWE Championship. Now, another option they have is to keep him in a championship picture, but instead of the WWE Championship, it would be the World Championship, and it would be against Sheamus. Excuse me, I got a bit of the sniffles here. Now, again, you might say, well, what's the point of that? Well, let's face it, Big Show and Sheamus haven't really faced each other. And with the opportunity for them to face each other at SummerSlam for the world title, or maybe at Money in the Bank, who knows? That might be interesting. It might be better than you think. Because Big Show has proven he can work. There's no doubt about that. And with the right opponents, he can do that. So that's kind of like right now where Big Show may be heading. He's either in the WWE Championship direction or the world title direction. Now, for some of you that probably wonder why they would go ahead and end the whole John Laurinaitis deal and not keep it going at least for another couple of months, let me kind of put an emphasis on this. Well, not an emphasis, but let me kind of explain. You see, like I said, they would have kept John Laurinaitis going as the GM if they still had Orton, Jericho, Del Rio not injured, and all that. Basically, if they would have had the likes of Orton and Jericho and anybody else they would need, they probably would have pulled the trigger. There's no doubt about it. Excuse me. Again, I got the sniffles here, but again, they probably would have pulled the trigger, but they didn't, because they don't have Orton, they don't have Jericho. As crazy as that sounds, they don't have Undertaker on a day-to-day basis. They don't have Triple H on a day-to-day basis. So, pulling the trigger wouldn't have been a smart move. Another reason as well is I think WWE creative, and I'm pretty sure everybody backstage in WWE probably realized, you know what? John Laurinaitis isn't really getting over. And the fans legitimately hate him. They do. I mean, fans were actually cheering on Monday when Dolph Ziggler won. They were still cheering even after Vicky kissed Dolph. I mean, they would rather have Vicky in charge, which she will be, obviously, she will be, from what I understand, next week, than have John Laurinaitis. They'd rather have her in charge, trying to at least give Dolph opportunity after opportunity, even for 1 week, instead of John Laurinaitis. You see, the thing is, John Laurinaitis was a good heel, but the thing is, he doesn't draw that well for the WWE, and I think they looked at the ratings and they realized, you know what, he's not drawing. He's not drawing as our head heel. He's getting massive heat, but the ratings are going down. So that, to me, was one of the reasons I think creative went into the direction that they did and had John Cena go over. Not just because, like I said, and I know I'm repeating myself here and I sound like a broken record, not because, there's certain superstars that are out right now that they need, but also because John Laurinaitis wasn't doing that well anyway. Now, is this the last time we'll see John Laurinaitis? No, of course not. He'll still be around. I mean, I pretty much feel that something's going to happen at the 1000th episode of Raw that's going to get us talking. It's going to involve John Laurinaitis, and it's going to involve him in a big way. You don't believe me? trust me, something's in the works. Something's in the works. Because one of the tentative plans that Creative came up with was if if Big Show lost at No Way Out, John Laurinaitis would still be involved in some way, to the point that John Laurinaitis would be in the corner of Brock Lesnar, Vince McMahon would be in the corner of Triple H at SummerSlam. So what does that tell you? Get the point? Get what I'm saying? And especially when you think about this. You can't have John Laurinaitis push Vince McMahon into a steel cage with the force that he did, if you will, on Sunday, have Vince McMahon fire him afterwards without having a continuation of that in some way. I'm telling you, something's going to happen. And I would not be surprised. I said this in my videos before, and I'll say it again. And I even said this on Facebook at some of the wrestling groups over there. I would not be surprised if he shows up with leading some kind of faction or group that's based on legitimacy. Basically with the goal to legitimize the WWE. But anyway, as much as some of you may not like to agree to it, and you may disagree, WWE Creative made the right decision right now. Because like I said, if certain people weren't missing right now in action, they would have pulled the trigger. And that's the truth. Now, as far as Monday goes, I know some people have the difference about Raw and feel as though it wasn't that good. Some feel it was good. Some feel it wasn't. Kind of split in the middle. I thought it was okay. You know, I liked the segment. I mean, I liked it through and through. I mean, I liked the fact that you had Foley there. And he wasn't so much involved, if you will, as he should have been. But I like the concept that they came up with, and I'll tell you why. You know, the concept of using different general managers, like they're using Mick this week, and they're using Vicky next week. Here's why I like it. Because it all is part of something big. It's all part of a storyline, part of something, you know, unique. As much as you may not agree with it. You see, this whole storyline of them trying to find another permanent general manager, it's all going to lead and conclude and accumulate on the 1000th Raw. See, what's going to happen, don't quote me on this. It's just an opinion, but as a longtime fan, I could see it probably going in this direction. But in my own opinion, I feel what could happen is the WWE, storyline-wise, could keep having all these general managers show up. Like we got Mick this week, we got Vicky next week. We're going to probably have Teddy Long. We're probably going to have one-time returns of Coach, Jonathan Coachman maybe. William Regal might get a shot. Mike Adamle, Ric Flair. You know, the list could go on. Eric Bischoff maybe. Who knows? Stephanie McMahon. Again, who knows? Shane, but I doubt that would happen. The point I'm trying to make here, folks, is this. It's all going to lead up to a decision by the board of directors that says, okay, we've made our decision, and the general manager of Monday Night Raw is going to be the WWE Universe. And that's how the whole interactive thing is going to come into play. Guaranteed. Guarantee you guys, that's how the whole interactive thing is going to come into play. They're going to name the WWE Universe the general managers of Raw and SmackDown, and that's how the whole interactive thing on Raw and maybe SmackDown may occur. Hey, like I said, don't quote me on that, but that's how I feel this is all going to come into play. That's what I feel. Now, you may agree with it and you may not agree with it, but I feel it's going to go in that direction. Now, as far as everything else goes, the tag team match that opened up with Sheamus and CM Punk versus Kane and Daniel Bryan, and AJ coming out in a female Kane outfit. Honestly, folks, I thought it was okay. I thought it was an okay tag. Sheamus and CM Punk, I think you all know this by now. They went over. But here's why. Now, everybody probably questions as to why AJ is like this. Why she's now associating not just with Punk, but more so with Kane now. Well, I'll tell you why. It's all a plan. It's all part of a storyline where she's going to get even with Daniel Bryan. In other words, she's going to have Kane help her to humiliate and embarrass Daniel Bryan to the point that Daniel Bryan, storyline-wise, again, just opinion-based, could come out and say, okay, I'm sorry, AJ. I shouldn't have blamed you for my loss at WrestleMania. It's not your fault. It's my fault. I'll take you back as my girl. I'll take you back as my valet. And if anything happens, it's not your fault, it'll be mine. Just opinion-based, but that's what it looks like it's leading at, or going towards. Now, again, you may disagree with that, but why else would they have AJ acting like this, especially recently centered around Kane and Daniel Bryan, and more importantly, when Kane gets distracted and he's teaming with Daniel, it causes Daniel to lose. Get the point where I'm getting at? Now, Dolph Ziggler versus Jack Swagger, I thought it was okay. Dolph, let's face it. I mean, Dolph, no matter whether you like the guy or you hate the guy, whether he's portrayed as a heel or a babyface or an in-betweener, the guy can flat out go in that ring, and he's got a great future ahead of him. I agree with JR. I mean, I'm not going to be surprised that if by the end of this year going into next, he's going to have either the WWE or the world title around his waist. And whether it's with Vicky, whether it's by association with Vicky or not, he's going to have it. It's going to happen. And you know what? I agree with him. I agree. So, to me, separating him from Jack, I think probably was the best thing. Now, for anybody that's probably worried that Jack Swagger may go and end up being an NXT guy now, or a Superstars guy, no, that's not going to happen. You don't just do something between Jack and Dolph like they did on Raw and just end it there. No, you got to continue it in some ways, even if it's for 1 month or so, you got to continue it, and they're going to do that. Believe me. And if in turn it turns, let's say, and it may take a while, if in turn it turns Vicky babyface, or at least into a likable heel, to where she won't get that many boos as much, as she used to, but still does the excuse me deal, then so be it. If it's going to help her out, so be it. What else did we have? The Del Rio Santino match, it was just a way to get Del Rio back into the picture, back into the main event picture, back into the this guy's going to be a real threat deal again. So that's the only reason the match happened. And Ricardo attacking Santino afterwards, that might kind of say that perhaps Ricardo may start getting more in-ring action with the WWE. Maybe he'll go after the U.S. title. I'm not saying he would. And maybe down the line that means Ricardo and Alberto will team up more often, and maybe you'll see a tag team there on occasions. Who knows? As far as the as far as this as far as this as far as the Cyndi Lauper, Rindy Richter deal going on, I thought it was good. I know some people are going to think I'm crazy for saying that, but from a nostalgic perspective, I thought it was good. I mean, you can't. Yes, I mean you. I mean, look, you can't expect modern WWE fans to know who Cindy is, to know who Wendy is. You can't expect them to know who Cindy and Wendy are off the bat. You can't expect that. But you know what? If it's going to get someone like Heath Slater over as a heel, then so be it. There's a lot of people that went through this, and either they flopped or they've extended, or they've I can't even pronounce it. They have extended to that next level. So if this is the jumping point for Heath Slater, so be it. You know, seeing Roddy Piper involved was good. You know, I thought it was an alright segment. I mean, very nostalgic for me because I've been a fan for over 20 years, folks. So don't say it was. For those that say it was bad, hey, I understand you probably don't know who these people were except for Piper and Slater and Layla. But the truth is, for a nostalgic person like myself that grew up on the WWE back in the 80s, watched the Rock and Wrestling cartoon show, it was definitely a great nostalgic feel. So I thought it was okay. Call me crazy, I thought it was okay. Then, if I missed anything, I apologize. Like I said, if I missed anything, I apologize. Then, to get the tag team match between Epico Primo and the Primetime Players. Now, let me say this. Even though on Sunday it was like a last-minute addition to the card, just like Sin Cara and Hunico was, and Ryback's squash match was, you got to give WWE credit. They are at least trying to rebuild their tag team division. I mean, when was the last time, answer me this, when was the last time you saw a Fatal 4-Way tag team match to determine the number one contenders to the tag team titles? When was the last time you saw that? Never. Well, not never, but it's been quite some time. It's been many years. Let's just put it that way, in my opinion. That was the last. In fact, let's say maybe 5-6 years. Last time you ever saw a Fatal 4-Way tag team match. Match where the winner became number one contenders to tag team titles. Again, if this is going to help rebuild the tag team division, and then you got this other team on NXT, the Ascension, the Extension, if you will, with Conor O'Brien and Keith Cameron or something like that. If you got that team coming in soon, if you got Corey Graves and Jack Carter, you know, Vader's son, or Jake Carter, Vader's son, coming in as a tag team soon, hey, if this is going to help build the division, so be it. It works. Give WWE credit. It may have been last minute, but I thought it was a good I thought it was a good Fatal 4-Way, and I think it's probably a stepping stone for hopefully for them to rebuild the tag team division. Yeah, many people may not agree with them getting rid of Dolph and Jack, but hey, if you got 4 teams with probably more on the way from NXT down the line, so be it. I mean, look, you got a storyline developing out of it. You got AW, Abraham Washington, stabbing Epico Primo Rosa in the back and siding with the Primetime Players. I mean, when was the last time you ever saw that happen? Never. Never. You've never seen that happen. Well, actually, the last time you saw something similar to that was back in the 80s at the first or second Survivor Series. But getting back to what I'm saying, if you can get a feud between two tag teams that's not involving the tag team champions, hey, give WWE credit. They're going in the right direction, hopefully. But I thought it was okay, good heel strategy and saying, hey, look, we're the number one contenders. We don't need this match unless it's against the tag champs. Again, putting emphasis on the tag team division and the tag team titles. And then we get our main event. I thought it was a fun main event. I liked how Big Show is starting to act like he's better than everyone else. Starting to feel like, hey, I've got this ironclad deal. I got this bonus. So you know what? I don't need to wrestle right now. I don't need to fight tonight. I'm going to go off to bigger and better things, which tells me you're looking at WWE or world title matches sooner than you think for Big Show. Now the handicap match I thought was good. I thought it was fun again. I like how when David tried to tag out, he couldn't, and then when he finally tagged out, I love the expression on Otunga's face. As soon as Laurinaitis tags in, he throws his cane away, and you see the look on Otunga's face like, what the fuck? Are you telling me you were never injured in the first place? And so, yeah, that was priceless right there. And I like how when Laurinaitis tries to cover Cena and Cena kicks out, and he tries to take out to David, David's like, hey, man, I don't want nothing to do with you anymore. Jumps off the apron. People actually popped for Otunga on that. But, the thing is, I like how he just walks away and says, to hell with you, man. You want to lie to not just these people, but to people that supported you? The hell with you. So, and that leaves John Laurinaitis in the hands of John Cena to get the hell beat out of him, to get hit with 3 attitude adjustments, and then the STFU. Great way to end Raw, whether you liked it or not. I thought it was an okay Raw, and it's gonna help get. And I thought it was okay from my perspective. I know some people may disagree with that, but it's my own opinion. It's my own perspective. Again, there was a lot of things that I saw coming out of No Way Out, I saw coming out of Raw, that I thought were great. Now, one thing I didn't mention was the Paul Heyman Triple H deal. Now, I know a lot of people are going to think, well, does Paul Heyman now own WWE? No, he doesn't. He doesn't own WWE. If he does, they're going to have to follow up on it next week. But I don't think he's going to own it. Because I don't think Vince McMahon will agree to a storyline like that where he goes like, okay, Paul, if Triple H hits you, guess what? You're going to own WWE. I don't think Vince would agree with that. That would not go well. So, but interesting segment between those two. I'll say that before I close this out. Interesting segment. Paul Heyman, he can deliver. He can work, shoot, or legitimately shoot when he wants to. So, to me, I know we're going to get Triple H and Lesnar at SummerSlam. I plan to order that. And I also feel that it's going to be a fight, but not just any fight. I was doing some thinking over the past 24 hours, and I thought to myself, you know what? I will not be surprised if Lesnar agrees to fight Triple H, but in his own environment, in his own kind of match. In other words, I would not be surprised if WWE gives the okay for Lesnar to challenge Triple H or accept the match under the terms and conditions that they face each other in an MMA-style match. I would not be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, folks. But that's all I'm going to say on my thoughts on Raw this past Monday night and No Way Out this past this past Sunday. I know I missed a few things on No Way Out. I'll probably get to those later on down the line. But I just wanted to point out a few things that I feel are really developing, or really growing out of this. Could really be on the verge of popping, if you will, in a good way. So, comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'm sorry this audio video ran long, and comment down below, video response if you like, and I'll talk to you all later.